Hello. Hello. Okay. Looks like the sound is back. So I'm going to jump right back to it. Um, I'm going to wait a while for people to rejoin since they were already here. I'm going to wait for them to rejoin before I continue with this. I'm not going to mute it. I'm rather going to reduce the volume so that I'll be able to know when the sound is gone. Hello. Okay, present. So I'm just going to continue with the presentation as I was doing before. Okay. So for people with me on TikTok, I'm going to turn it to the screen so that you'll be able to see what exactly I'm doing on the computer. So flip the camera and yes, I will turn it here. So this next section is basically me trying to explaining how the express entry works in general. Welcome back if you just rejoined me on YouTube. I am now going to start it and go through the whole express entry process. So let me start from Google so that if you are new to these things, you'll still be able to follow it anyways. So I search for express entry, or you can just go to Canada. As I said, the website is canada.ca. So you can just search for canada.ca and go to their website. And when it brings you here, you can now go to immigration and citizenship. That's IRCC Canada. And what do we want to do? Because you have come to the IRCC website, you want to immigrate. So now they are asking what you want to do. They make their website easy enough to navigate. And if you come here and you are trying to apply for, let's say, school or to visit or to immigrate or for citizenship or whatever, you already know where to go because it basically says exactly that. So if you want to visit, this is where you have to go: immigrate, work, study, citizenship. So we want to immigrate, as in immigrate is for people who want to move to Canada and stay here. So you click on immigrate and it gives you the various ways in which you can immigrate to Canada. So if you are the person who is like, okay, I want to move to Canada, how do I know or what do I do next? This is what you do. You search for canada.ca, go to citizenship and immigration, and then choose what exactly you want to come to do. Are you coming to school? Are you coming to work? Are you just visiting, or do you just want to move in and live here? So this training is for people who want to move in and live here, including people who are already here on study permits. That's international students. So in this case, we are teaching about the express entry. I've already gone through the provincial nomination, and it's still available on my live channel. So you can go to my live tab and listen to what I said on provincial nomination. So we are going to move straight to express entry. We were already having the live application, the live stream, where I taught you about how to check your scores. And after checking your scores, that took us to recent draws they've had, so that you'll be able to know if your score is enough to help you emigrate to Canada through the express entry. And whilst checking the recent draws, we also realized that there are some 6 categories that if you belong to, it helps you um, gain gain your residency, or it helps you get an invitation even if you have lower points than normal. So now that we are done with that, we are coming to this side where I'm going to explain about the express entry itself. So when you come here, they are telling you about the 3 programs we have um, through under the express entry. So you have the Canadian Experience class. Canadian Experience class, as the name implies, is for people who have experience in Canada. Experience in Canada means you have schooled in Canada before, or you have worked in Canada before. If you fall under any of these two, if you've either worked here or schooled here, that means you can fall under the Canadian Experience class. And what happens with this is you just still have to do your application. When you apply for express entry, automatically it puts you under any of these programs that you qualify. You don't necessarily have to submit a different application for each of them, because as you know, for each of them you have to pay. So they do not, yes, they need the money, but they do not intentionally try to take multiple payments for the same thing. So you just apply for express entry and they automatically put you in any of them that you qualify. For people who have schooled or worked in Canada before, you may qualify under the Canadian Experience class. For people who have never schooled in Canada before but have work and educational qualification from their country or outside Canada, you can fall under the Federal Skilled Worker Program. One thing too is one person can fall under more than one. So let's say I am a foreigner, I've moved to Canada, schooled here, worked here. I will fall under the Canadian Experience class and still fall under the Federal Skilled Worker Program. And we also have the Federal Skilled Trades Program. So for the Skills Trades Program, as the name implies, is for people who have experience in trades. When we say trades, skills trades is basically like jobs. I don't want to say you have to use your hand. So like construction worker, plumbing, and the likes, you basically fall under the skills trades program. And unfortunately, these are actually there's a section of the program where a lot of people do not really should I say put emphasis on. If you go back home, at least let me use Ghana. In Ghana, for instance, if you are, let's say, a construction worker, people don't really put much importance in it. A lot of people will not even go into that sector. They only go there maybe as a last resort. But then when you come to Canada, these are fields that they know is important, because if they don't have people in the construction field, how are they going to build their homes? In electricians, when it comes to electricians, constructors, they are the people who come in and build our homes. So if you don't have them, how are we going to even build houses? And as a result, they place more emphasis, more importance on those that field. And there are people who actually come to school and offer these programs, and they have a lot of opportunities. When many people are thinking of coming to school in Canada, the only thing they are thinking about is, okay, let me go and do business management. Let me go and do IT. They have a lot of programs that they come for, but many people don't even think about trades programs. But trades is one way you can easily get permanent residency in Canada. And this is how it works. So this page actually takes you through the whole process. So how it works is you're going to create a profile. As I already showed you earlier, you're going to check your points and know if you have enough points. Submit your IELTS or language proficiency results, and then you get to know how many points you have. Then afterwards, you will create an account. Or if you already have an IRCC account, you just have to log in. And as I said, I already took you through how to create an IRCC account. So I'm not going to do that today too. You can just go back to that video and learn how to create it yourself. So if I am going to assume we already have that account. So today we will just log in and go through the process. So who can apply for permanent residency? I've already explained the 3 programs. So if you qualify for any of them, you can apply. And then you check your score, as I said. And then you get your documents ready. That's the language test, your education, job offer, if you have, your France police certificates, and all of that. It helps to gather these things. It's not necessary for you to have them before you apply, but it's necessary for you to have them, as in when you do get your invitation, they will ask for these documents. And they normally have, I think, 60-day period where you have to submit all of these documents or your application gets cancelled. And as a result, it is better, especially with the evaluation, academic evaluation. Sometimes it takes a while. So even though it is not required for your initial application, it is better to do that first. So when I was doing mine, the first thing I did was check my score, as I said, and I knew I could have, if I get good scores in IELTS, I could easily get in. And then afterwards, I did my IELTS to make it official, and then I checked my score again. And now that I already had the scores, as my exact scores, I could now see how many points I have exactly. And then afterwards, I did my academic evaluation. So after I did my academic evaluation, I now created an account and submitted my profile. So that is how it works. So you create your profile and submit it. And once you submit your profile and receive confirmation that it's been received, even if they have a draw the following day, and you do have enough points for it, you qualify, you will receive an invitation. That is how it works. They do not normally care whether your application have been in for a long time, whether it's been in for a week, a month, a year. They do not really care about those. All they care about is an application is in. If it's in and you qualify, you get an invitation. So, like in my case, I got an invitation the following day after I submitted my application. That is just how it works. So, as we saw from the ministerial instructions site, let me share the tab again. So, as we saw on this website, the last time they had was December 16th, and that was for provincial nomination. And before that, they had one on December 3. So, let's say you submitted your application on, let's say, December 1, and you had, let's say, 470 points. It means by December 3, your application would have already been in and registered, and you would have received acknowledgement that they have your application. And as a result, you are going to receive an invitation. Now, let me go back to, yeah. So they have rounds of invitations and they give you scores. They have the scores for the latest rounds. So once you receive an invitation, it's more like you've already told us you have this, and that. And we made you know how many points that you have for all of the things you told us you have. And we think you are good for Canada. So now we are inviting you to apply for permanent residency so that you can move to Canada and live here and work here permanently. So now that you have received the invitation to apply for permanent residency. You now have to prove all the things that you told us you have. You told us you wrote your academic, your English or French proficiency exam. Okay, now we need the results, official results. They don't require documents initially. So when you receive the invitation, that is when they require all the documents. They now ask for your results for IELTS. They ask for your certificates. They ask for academic evaluation. They ask for police certificates. They will give you a list of documents that they need you to submit. You can search for documents that they normally ask for permanent residency, but once you receive an invitation, they will list them for you. So you don't necessarily have to go into to go and try looking for them anyways. Once you receive an invitation, they will give you a list themselves. And normally, as I said, they will require a police certificate. They will require your bank statement, or if you've worked, if you have, I mean, you definitely have to, you need to have a work experience. So they also need an introductory letter from wherever you worked to prove that yes, indeed, you worked there. And they will also require some pay stubs. Let's say I think it's about 3 pay stubs or 4 pay stubs. What I don't really remember is if it was introductory letter and pay stubs, or if it was introductory letter or pay stubs. But I think if you have the introductory letter from your place of work, that would be great. And they normally also they will also make you do your medicals, but that is afterwards. After you submit the application, then later you receive a letter to go and do your medicals too. So basically, these are the documents that they require. So once you receive your they do the invitations and you receive your invitation, then you apply for the permanent residence. So submit the form online, upload documents, and then pay your fees. And after you apply, they'll make you you go and do your biometrics, and then you wait for your application status. And if they approve your application, they will send you more documents. And send the main thing is the confirmation of permanent residence, COPR. So once you receive the COPR, that is the letter you can use to move to Canada. So you submit your passport to the embassy or VFS, and they will send it to the embassy, and they will put your visa in. So once you have your visa to move to Canada, I think they give you about 6 months to move to Canada. Within 6 months, you have the expiry date on it, so you will definitely see it yourself. And you move to Canada, and when you get to the airport, they will ask for your COPR, confirmation of permanent residency. And with the confirmation of permanent residency, now that you in Canada, they will cancel the visa they give you, because that's just it's not a multiple entry. You can only use it once. So you move to Canada, they cancel that, they sign on your COPR, and then that is it. You are officially a permanent resident. So sometimes you have to go home, and then they send you your permanent residence card later. And yeah, once you have your permanent residence card, you are now a permanent resident. It doesn't necessarily mean you are stuck in Canada. You can still move back. I know people who moved in, realized the system wasn't working for them, so they moved back home. But I know one requirement to renew your permanent residence is that you should have lived in Canada for 2 years within your last 5 years. Yes, so you can move to your country, but you still have to be coming around if you want to maintain your permanent residency status. So now that we are done, I've taken you through the process. This is more like a summary of it. I'm now going to take you to the application itself. You are going to log into my account, and then we get to see exactly how to start the process. So IRCC account. Okay, let me share this tab so that you'll be able to know exactly what we're doing. IRCC. So we come here and we are now going to try and sign into our account. So I search for IRCC account, or you can still go to just you can just search for canada.ca, log in, go there like we did previously, and yeah. So this is also one thing you can just do. You can just search for canada.ca, come to the website. We've already been to this side. So when you come here, you can just go to my application, sign into your IRCC account. So now they ask you whether you want to sign into an existing account, or if you don't have one, you have to create one. But let me start from Google so that others will be able to follow from Google instead, because that's why I always like to start it. So you come to Google, you just search for IRCC account, and you have one from canada.ca with a link here. So you can now click on this, and they still take you to the same place, apply for these applications. So you click on this. So it tells you the kind of applications you can apply with your IRCC account. You can apply for work permit. You can apply for express entry, which is what we are going to do now. You can apply for international experience Canada and all of these study permit and all of that. These are things you can do with your IRCC account. Since we've already created one, it means we do not necessarily have to go through these. We just going to apply. We are just going to sign into our account. So we come here. What we created was a GC key. If you do not have an account yet, you go through here, register for an account. But we already created one in the previous training, and we use the GC key, not Canadian Interaction Signing Partner. This is mainly for people who already live in Canada and have banks in Canada. This is mainly for people who are outside Canada, don't have any banking institutions in Canada, so you just have to use a Government of Canada key, short GC key. So we come here, and as I said, since I already have an account there, I'm going to just log into the account I created in the last training session. But let me go and find the login details first. This is not my main IRCC account though. I created this, I think, was it in November when we were having a training? That was when I created this. So yeah. Okay. So I think the name I used was the Elder 2024. Yes. And I'll enter my password. Okay. Sign in. I am not going to save the password. I don't like to save my passwords on the computer. So here I am signing in, and they are letting me know the last time I signed into this account. That was November 30th. Yes. That was when I actually created it. And then we press continue. So now you come to the two-factor authentication. So when I go through here, they are going to send an email to the account I used for this. And once the email goes through, I'll have to enter the code here. So they have already sent the email. So I'm just going to get the code and enter it. Where is it? Yes, it's in. So my code is okay. Continue. So you have successfully completed your two-factor authentication. So now that is done, continue. And they take me through the terms and conditions. As I said, normally we don't like reading the terms and conditions, so we just go through it. What is the name of your further? This is something they normally ask you. They they give you 5 questions and you provide answers for them. So not that is one way of them verifying that yes, this is the true owner of the account. So you answer this. Since I've already answered before, it just popped up. So continue, and then we are now in my account. So this is actually the account I used for the training before. I created an application. I think it was a study permit application before. Yes, I never went back to it. We created it November 30th, but I never went back to it. And it gives you 60 days to submit. So I still have 20 days, 26 days left. I'm not going to use it anyways. So now I have logged into my application. And what we are going to do is to apply for express entry. So you come down, start an application. If you want to start any sort of application, a visa application, this is where you have to go. You first have to create an IRCC account, log into the account, and then come to this side, apply to come to Canada. And whilst you are here, apply to come to Canada, you now have to, so I click on it, and they give me the personal checklist. So over here, if you had already filled so normally when you are going through, they have these sites where you start filling some details, and if you want to log out, they'll give you a code that you can, a reference code that you can always use, so you don't have to fill these same documents again. And as a result, if you've done that previously, use the Come to Canada or Express Central Wizard, you can just enter the code here and you don't have to enter the same details again because they already have it. But since we've not done that, you just come here. I do not have a personal reference code. So they now ask, which one are you applying for? I am applying for Express Entry. So determine your eligibility and apply online. So I click Express Entry. That is what I want to apply for. So they now take you through a series of questions to know if you are actually eligible for it. So the first question is, if you don't know yet, which province or territory do you plan to live in? As I said, they'll ask you this. So in case you do not have enough points for it, that province will still have access to your profile and be able to decide if they want to nominate you or not. So I choose, let's say Ontario. I want to live in Ontario. So I choose Ontario. Next. So find out if you are eligible to apply. Canada's official languages are English and French. So these are basically the same questions you had to answer when you were going through your CRS score. So you need to submit language results, which I said we have. So I am assuming we've already done IELTS general test. So we have the results. So we just click yes. We choose IELTS here and then next. What date did you take this test? You have to know the test have to be within the last 2 years. So let's just assume we took it December 2024. That's just last month. So far as your IELTS is within the last 2 years, it is still okay and it is still valid. So let's say I took it, let's say 10th of December 2024. I've not done it. I'm just using this as an example. So yes, we go to next. And now they are asking for your results. So let's say for speaking, I got 7.5. Enter test score for listening, I got an 8 for listening. For reading, I got 8.5. For writing, I got, let's say, 7.5. These are just scores I am entering. It doesn't mean you have to enter these two. You enter what you got. And as I said, if you don't have it yet, you can still go through the CRS score calculator and enter these figures just so you'll be able to get your scores and see if you have a chance. So if you do it and you realize, oh, you have like the 470s and all of that, you know you have a chance. So now you can pay and register for your IELTS and take the exam. But if you check and you realize your score is somewhere around like 300s and you are nowhere near having enough points, then it doesn't make sense to still waste money on registering for your IELTS and going to take the test. Because even if you take the test, you're still going to have scores around that same figure. It's not going to significantly improve your scores. This is why I always recommend that go ahead, use the calculator even if you don't have your IELTS. And later, you can now go and take it if you have enough points. So now we move on to next. And they are asking, do you have other language results? If you do, which language test did you take for your second official language? We do not have any other language results. We are not French. We are not bilingual. We only know we only speak English. So I choose none and I go to next. And they now ask, in the last 3 years, how many years of skilled work experience do you have in Canada? It must have been full-time or an equal amount in part-time. So let's say none, because like I said, the profile we are filling is for someone who isn't in Canada, someone who lives outside. Let's say someone who lives in Ghana, never been to Canada, never schooled in Canada, never worked in Canada. So that means in the last 3 years, the person doesn't have any work experience in Canada. So the next question is, if you do not have any Canadian work experience during this period, please choose none of the above. Yeah. So none of the above. So they are asking for the tier, the NOC, of the job that the field that you are in. So if you are a nurse, you have to go through the NOC code and see what your nursing code is. Or if you are a teacher, you are a banker, whatever job that you do, an administrator or whatever, Canada have the NOC code. So you can just go and set the NOC code and see the level, the tier of yours, and then enter it here. But since we've not had any work experience in Canada, it's none. So I don't have to waste my time on that. So next, find out if you are eligible to apply. In the last 10 years, how many years of skilled work experience do you have? So let's say in the last 10 years, we've worked for 3 years. So let's say it's 2 to 3. So I choose my 2 to 3 years here. In the last 5 years, do you have at least 2 years of experience in one of the following qualified trades occupations? As I said, trades is an important factor if you want to move to Canada. Yes, we have nursing and many others who are also under this is within the 6 categories, which are very important. But if you don't have any of those, trades is also one of the 6 categories that people normally don't focus on. But if you have any sort of certification in any trades occupations, it does help a lot. So let's say we are not really sure about it. We don't really have any trades occupation. So I choose none. And next, how much money in Canadian dollars will you be bringing to Canada? So this is a required part of the documentation. In Canada, we have it's just like if you are coming to school in Canada, you have a minimum amount of money you need to have before they allow you to come to school. So same here with permanent residency. There's a minimum amount of money you need to have in your bank account before you be able to move to Canada. I mean, you are moving here to stay and live here and work. Yes, you're going to work, but now, as at the time you are coming, you don't have a job. And as a result, they expect you to have enough money on you so that you'll be able to rent a place and at least feed yourself until you get a job. So I am actually going to see a table which shows how much money. Going to take you to the page where I'm going to take you to the page where you can see how much money you need to have before you move to Canada. Um, Let me see if I'll be able to get that for you. Okay, so share this tab. So here is it. If you are coming to Canada alone, this was actually updated on June 3rd, 2024. At the time I was coming, for one person, it was 12,000 and change, but that was like in 2018. This is 2024. 2024, this is the updated figures. If it's just one person, you need to have at least 14,690 Canadian dollars. That's your minimum proof of funds. If there are two of you, let's say you and your spouse, you need to have at least 18,288. If there are three of you, let's say you, your spouse, and a kid, you need to have 22,483. So for each additional person, you need to have a certain amount of money before you can apply for the express entry. If you do not have that, unfortunately, they are going to deny you the permanent residency. So, since we are just one person, we need to have the 14,608. So I'm choosing that first one, 14,000, which is what I have. And how many family members do you have? This actually includes your nuclear family, and it can include you, your spouse, your children. Yeah. Even if you are the only person who is going to come initially, you still have to include them. And I think they actually talk about this. So, how many family members do you have? Include yourself, your spouse or partner, and any children that you have, even if your spouse, partner, or children will not come to Canada. There are people who get the permanent residency and yet they want to come alone to study the system, get to know if the system is good for them before they bring their family members. So, yes, they will also gain their permanent residency, but they would want to come in first. And as a result, you still have to include them as your family members. So, how many family members? In our case, it's just one person applying. You are not married, you don't have any kids, so it's just one person. And mind you, as I showed you the table, the number of people coming here will determine how much money you need to have. So, if you are choosing, let's say, two or more here, it means you have to ensure this figure here in the first part corresponds to that figure. And then you go to next. This sometimes happen with IRCC stuff. So in case you are doing it, it does sometimes happen. You are going through a process and it just stops abruptly and takes you back to the sign-in page. So when it does that, you have to know it is normal. It sometimes happen. You just have to go there and log in again. So I am going to log in again. Or is this same name? Since this is not my main account, this is not the account I use, and I recently only created it for training purposes. I still don't even have the name and other details in mind. But yes, I know it's the order 2024. And yeah, password. Okay. So I sign in again and go through the same process of signing. That's the two-factor authentication where they send you the code to your email. I chose email when I was creating the account. They also have the option where they will you rather use an authenticator. So if you use an authenticator, you have to use that one to log to do your two-factor authentication. So in this case, I just use email, so they will always send me an email with my code, and I'll use that instead. Okay. So I've completed a two-factor authentication. Yeah, you see, then it goes back there again. But most of the time, in this case, I don't think I'll have to sign in again. Once I click it, it will just take me straight to where I was without necessarily signing because I just completed the two-factor authentication. Yeah, you see, it will just log me because I've already logged in. So they will just take me through there to that side. So let me share my screen again since I lost it there. Okay, sure. So we were going through, so as I told you, whenever you start an application, they are always going to put it down here so that you don't always have to start a new one. So since I started something but didn't finish it, they already have it here for me and they've given me 60 days to submit. So I just come to continue profile and it'll just take you to where you left off. So this is where we were before before it ended. And this side was about in the last 10 years, how many years of skilled work experience do you have? And we chose 2 to 3 years. And it also asks about the NOC code if we've been working in Canada, which we don't have. We didn't work in Canada, so no. And how much money in Canadian dollars do they require you to have? And we chose this. How many family members are coming with you? It's just you. So go to next. Do you have a valid job offer in Canada? In this case, no. And as I said earlier, even if you do, currently Canada doesn't give you any extra points if you have a job offer from Canada. Previously, if you had a job offer from Canada, they would give you an additional points, but now they don't. So all you have to do is just move there, say no, and then go to next. Are you currently working legally in Canada? As I said, the profile we are filling, we are assuming this is someone who is not in Canada, who has never been in Canada, which I assume fits the profile of many of my followers. So I'm going to, are you currently working legally in Canada? No. And I'll go to next. So this is my results. Based on your answers, you do not appear to be eligible for express entry. Other ways to immigrate. So it appears there's probably a question I answered wrongly there that doesn't fit their current profile, and that is why they will tell you this. So maybe I'll have to go through it again and see. But normally, when they ask you these questions and you answer them and it fits the profile, then they will now tell you, yes, you do qualify, so you can apply. And they will take you here and you just apply for it. To apply online, you need this personal code. So exit questionnaire. I remember a friend actually told me they also went through this application and they were also told they do not qualify yet. But yes, I think that is because especially for the work experience, I think that is because probably I chose just 2 or 3. But even that should normally take you through because um It will just mean your points will be lower, but then it will still take you through. The details you have provided and or documents you have uploaded have not been saved. Continue. So I still have this here and you can still go through. So this is basically how the express entry works. You just go there, go to start your application, and then just answer the questions, put in your details and all of that. And if you are eligible, they will now let you know you are eligible, and then you'll be able to go through the process. So once you are done, normally they will even let you know your scores, even if you didn't use the CRS calculator initially. They'll just let you know your scores, and yeah, you'll be able to submit your application right after this. The first part is just about you answering questions, telling them what you have and what you don't have, and that's it. Once everything is done, now they only require you to once everything is done, the only thing they will be waiting for is to have a draw. That you will be waiting for is for their draw, and when they have their draw and you do qualify for it, you will receive an invitation. And after receiving an invitation, now you just have to after receiving your invitation, now you just have to provide your documents to prove all the information you gave them. To, like, you, as you can see, you talked about working for this many years. You talked about having an educational qualification. Let's say you will choose two or more degrees. So then you'd have to submit your certifications. You have to submit an academic evaluation, and when you get to this side, you actually do need that academic evaluation. It's not just you just saying, just submitting your school certificates. No, they do need an academic evaluation from an institution in Canada, so that they will be able to let you know that for this and that degree that you have, it is equivalent to same degree that we have in Canada. So when I was doing my application, at the time I had a degree in economics and political science from Ghana, a 4-year degree. And I also had a bachelor's degree in biology from the Philippines. What happened was my 4-year degree from Ghana was equivalent to a 4-year degree in Canada. So that wasn't devalued, it was the same. But my bachelor's degree in biology from Philippines was equivalent to a 3-year degree in Canada. So it's somehow reduced, devalued a bit, but not much. I mean, a 3-year degree and a 4-year degree is still a bachelor's degree, anyways. So, yes, this is the reason why they expect you to do academic evaluation. And also because I have started my medical program in Philippines and only done a year and a half, um, they also gave me some points for professional education. Yeah, that was through my academic evaluation. So this is how these things work. You submit and do your academic evaluation, and they'll be able to. And then they will be able to fix it for you so that you'll be able to know how many points you are actually going to get, because all of these details give you points with the express entry. So now, since I am done with the YouTube, I'm just going to share here so that those on TikTok will be able to see me. Okay, so this is basically how it works, and this video is still available. It's still going to be available on my YouTube channel. So if you are watching me on TikTok, you'll still be able to go to my YouTube channel, Life Experiences 247, and be able to access it and go through the same process as we did. So since there was a break in transmission, there was a first part that we did that had to do with the CRS scores and the recent draws and the 6 categories. And There is a second one that has to do with going into the express entry application itself, where they get to ask you questions and you answer the questions. So based on your answers, they are going to determine whether you qualify for express entry or not. And if you do qualify, you just have to submit the application, and you do not pay any money for the first part. That is it. The first part, you do not pay any money. You only pay money when you do receive an invitation. And also, like, if you are doing, let's say you're going to write your IELTS, of course you're going to pay money to IELTS to register for IELTS, but that is not going to IRCC. So this is one thing a lot of people keep talking about. IRCC itself does not really take money for the first part. You just submit your application, and if you do receive an invitation, that is when you now have to submit your documents and pay for the application. And I think it's maybe 1,200 or something like that for one person. Yeah. And any additional person pays extra. I'm not let me see if I'll be able to find the exact details as to how much you are going to pay. But yes, so far as I am concerned, mm, but so far as I'm concerned, if you are going through the main application, you already know this is how much you are going to pay, and it is going to be official. But if you are going through like agents, going to fake websites and the likes, that is when they keep charging you monies you are not supposed to be paying. That is why I keep repeating that you have to go to canada.ca. Make sure, even if you go through Google, you are clicking on a link that starts with canada.ca, none other. That is the only Canadian official website for all of these processes. So make sure the website is canada.ca. Otherwise, you are going to end up in an immigration. I remember when I was doing mine, um, yeah, I actually ended up in one of these immigration lawyers websites, and then they sent me an email with how much I have to pay for this and that, blah blah blah, a lot of things. And I was like, I don't have this amount of money on me. There's no way I'm going to be able to afford it. So then I contacted my friend who was in Canada, who actually told me about the express entry. And then he guided me on how to get to the official website and ignore the lawyers. And then, yeah, that is how it happened. So if you do not know much about it, there is a high chance you will fall into one of these websites which belongs to immigration lawyers here. And since they are doing the process for you, they will charge you for their services. So I see MP is asking on YouTube that can we apply for skilled workers visa? I'm working in USA under L. So okay, I don't really know much about the US visa types, but can you apply for skilled workers visa? Um, there's nothing like skilled workers visa. So yes, you can apply for a work permit. But with that, you have to get search for a job in Canada first. And when you do get the job, you can now they will give you an LMIA, and you use that to apply for a work permit. And if you are rather talking about skilled worker, the skilled workers program under the express entry, then yes, if you since you are working in USA, you are working outside Canada, and when you apply for the express entry, automatically you will fall under the skilled workers program. And if you do have enough points, yes, you will receive an invitation. That is how it works. So if you are with me on TikTok, you can also if you are with me on TikTok, you can request to join the live, and if you have any questions, I will be happy to answer. So MP, you are asking how can I check my points? So um, we already did that in this same live session, but there was a break in the transmission, so I had to restart it. So if you go to my live tab, you'll be able to find the first live session, because that's already ended about an hour ago. So you can find that first live session. Okay, okay, you're the first time here. Yeah, no worries. So like I said, you can just go to your, since you're already on YouTube, you can just go to my live tab and you'll be able to find the first one that we did. It ended just about an hour ago, and it takes you through the process of how to check your scores, what to enter here, how to answer them, and all of that. And I break everything down. That is actually the training we've had today. So you'll be able to go through it whenever you have the time. I hope your question is answered. You're welcome. So when it comes to the express entry, as I was saying previously, it is undergoing a lot of changes. These are things I predicted a long while ago, because after COVID, Canada now realized its flaws and they had to fix the system. So if you are applying for express entry, it is better you try and see if you fall under these 6 categories. And if you ask me, I'll say maybe the easiest, that if you don't already fall under any of them, the easiest will be to maybe learn French for Francophone. Because Francophone, according to the recent draws, they do have a lot of Francophone draws. They do have a lot of the draws going to the Francophone program. I'm going to go back to it, and that's the ministerial nominations. So I'm going to go back to the ministerial nominations so that we are able to ministerial instructions express entry, so that we will be able to see exactly how many times they are having their draws in each of them, and you'll be able to know which of them are quite popular now. So if we go here, ministerial instructions, I'm sharing the screen. Yeah. Okay. So I'll do same for TikTok too. And yeah. So if you follow this, you realize the last one they had was provincial nominee, and I already explained that. But before that, they had French language proficiency, and then they had healthcare occupations, and then they had yeah, another French, and then trade occupations came in there somewhere along the line, and French. So if you can see, you realize French language proficiency, they are having more and more draws for French speakers. And look at the points they have for French speakers. French here is 394, and then it kept increasing to 446, 444, 478, 466. So one reason why the points will be fluctuating like this is whenever they have the draw, they have a minimum mark. So like here, for instance, where they have on December 3rd, 2024, when they had a draw in the French language proficiency and had 466 points. Anyone who had their application in and had at least 466 would automatically receive a nomination. That means after December 3, I shouldn't be expecting anyone who falls within that French proficiency program to still have more than 466 points, because they've all received an invitation to apply. But then one thing too is there will still be new applicants. Lots of people are sending in applications day in, day out. So let's say this happened on the December 3rd. December 4th, someone else will also submit the application. And because now people are becoming more aware of these categories, people are now getting like more points for those, because there are people who would easily get more points but never really knew much about these, so they don't submit. And now they realize, oh, if you fall under the French proficiency, if you're a French speaker, you can easily get PR to Canada. So like, oh, okay, let me just explore it then. And then they come here and they submit their application. So as time goes, we will be having people with more than the 466 also submitting their applications. But what is also going to happen is, the more they have these draws, these people are always going to be siphoned out, and it's still going to be left with people with lower points. So it gets to a point where they do have many people in the program who do not necessarily have high points. They all have minimum points. So if, let's say, here they invited 800 people. So let's say in the next draw they are looking for, let's say, 1,000 people or 500 people. They'll use their system to know, okay, with 500 people we are going to go to, because they start from the highest, right? So it drops down to, let's say, 450. Then it means they are going to have a draw with points of 450, so that they'll be able to get the number of people that they want. That is how it works. So sometimes it does go down and it keeps going, it goes back up. So it just fluctuates like that, depending on the profile of the people who are applying. And it's the same for even the general. It keeps going up and down. So during the time I was applying, that was in 2018. I was told somewhere before 2018, you needed to have like more than 500 to get in. Even if there was a time you needed more than 600 to get into the express entry. But then it kept reducing because they kept picking people who had high points and siphoning them out. So it got to a point where even with 450, you could get into the express entry and qualify and receive an invitation. So that is how it works. So if you ask me, I'll say, if you want to come to Canada and you are young enough, you would be able to just go and study French. I mean, you can even learn the language within a year. So let's say I go and learn the French language. I maybe take a program in French, and I'm able to take a proficiency exam in French and get high marks. Then I'll use that as my first language and apply, and also do IELTS and use and add that one too, so that you'll be able to get more points in both of them. But then, since you have one in French, you will also fall under the French language proficiency category and be able to receive an invitation. The next one is health. Health is quite popular. So if we check here, of the 6 categories, after French, they invited healthcare occupations. And I think there's another healthcare occupations in on this same page. Okay, no more healthcare occupations. But if you go to the second page, that's after before July, they also had healthcare occupations, and then trade. So with healthcare occupations, even if you are a PSW, you do fall under these healthcare occupations. A friend of mine actually just qualified under the healthcare occupations and received his ITA, and came and I helped him apply for it. So that is how it works. If even if you move to Canada and do a PSW program, if you are an international student and you've had a PSW program, you then qualify for the healthcare occupations program, and this helps you to be able to get your PR. This is why I keep telling people who plan on studying in Canada to try their best to read about these things before they choose their program. Don't just apply to school in Canada just because someone told you some programs are easier to get into. Yes, some programs are easier to get into, but yes, indeed, some programs are easier to get into than others. Like if you want to come and offer a nursing program in Canada, it is very, very competitive. But at the end of the day, if you are able to get in, you know you are almost certain of getting a PR. I don't see healthcare um, being less important in the next 10 years. It is all they are always going to need nurses. They are always going to need healthcare professionals. They are always going to need PSWs. And one thing actually is in Canada, our aged population is on the rise. So especially for PSWs and nurses, they are always going to need PSWs to take care of these aged population. So you cannot go wrong with PSW. The only thing now is these language requirements that they are having. And that is something, since it's new, we are still looking into it. And I think I read something about some of the colleges protesting with IRCC and trying to make them change their system, because it's like, if there are certain programs, if you that if you're doing it in a university, um you do qualify for PGWP. But if you are doing same program in a college, you don't qualify for PGWP. And as a result, the colleges are protesting because it's more like they've been left out. Yeah, but well, this is Canada. Things change every minute. So if you qualify for something today, apply for it. Don't be waiting for tomorrow, because tomorrow you may not qualify because of changes. That is one thing I keep telling everybody. If you qualify for something today, apply for it. Don't wait for tomorrow, or tomorrow you may not qualify. And hopefully this year there may be changes, especially with the program requirements, because I realize they've also added a few more programs to what they had previously in the education sector. Yeah, they just recently added some programs in the education sector, and early childhood education, and childcare education, and all of that to the program requirements. So if you do offer these programs, you'll still be able to get PGWP. Before, when they brought this thing in September, they didn't have those education programs in there, but then they've added them now. So if you offer these programs, you'll be able to qualify for PGWP. But these are the things you have to be reading into before you choose your program. Contact the school. Ask them, does this program qualify for PGWP? And the school should be able to let you know. Even if you don't know how to check yourself, just ask the school and they will let you know. No school here, at least I do not want to believe a school here will try to scam you by telling you, yes, the program qualifies, even though it doesn't. Because at the end of the day, if it doesn't and they did lie to you, you can sue them and they will be in trouble for it. So as a result, the generally schools are pretty fair. If they don't think the program you are applying for qualifies and you ask them, they may offer you other options that qualify for PGWP and similar to whatever it is that you are applying for. And that is how it works. That's why I keep telling people to try and communicate with their schools often. Don't just apply for the school and just wait till your admission decision comes and you receive the letter, you apply for a PA, or it comes, you just ignore the school and just go about your daily activities. Always be in touch with them. If your visa is delaying, let the school know. If you are maybe you are not getting some documents and as a result you've not submitted your visa yet, it is better to let the school know that yes, you will still apply for the visa, but there are some delays, but you are hoping to apply by this time, so that the school will be able to know that yes, indeed you are serious about coming, and they'll be able to just hold your spot. What happens sometimes is, I actually know someone who applied for their visa delayed, they got their visa, but by the time they got their visa, since the school had not heard from them, their admission had been cancelled. And when they got to the airport, um, he was asked about the school. He told them, and they called the school, and the school made the CBSA know that the person no longer has an admission status here, and the person was asked to return home. So these are things you do not want to be playing with. You always want to keep the school in the loop. Don't close the communication gap. Just make sure they are aware of what is happening so that in case of anything, they will be aware of it. And there's one thing I also know some schools do offer for international students. If you are coming to school and you contact them and let them know, some of the schools, I'm not saying all, some of the schools have this service where they'll have someone pick you from the airport and drop you to maybe wherever you want them to drop you, like um let's say your rental, or in a hotel, or if you have residence in the school, they'll just send you there. So yes, this is one thing I also recommend for people. Make sure you make use of these services that the schools offer, because if you are new to Canada and the school is coming to pick you up from the airport and drop you to your residence, that is actually a plus. Normally, if you get to the airport and you want to go by Uber or whatever, it does cost money. So if the school have that service where they can do it for free, take advantage of it. Yeah. So since we are done with the express entry, I think this is going to be the end of the session here. And I am resuming my classes from next week. So yeah, I'm going to be a little busier from next week. So I may not have any trainings until maybe somewhere in April. But then, yes, I will still be making the videos and posting them here so that you'll be able to learn from them. And if you have anything else you want to know, and especially if you're following me on YouTube, you can just comment under some of my videos, questions you have, and I will answer them. Or you can also follow me on my other social media platforms. Everywhere you go, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, it's life experiences 247. You'll be able to follow me. And if you have any questions, you can just come into my DM and ask your question. Sometimes if I go to my TikTok inbox, I have more than 600 messages I've not even bothered to reply. Why? Because if you go in there, the only thing you see there is emojis, hi, hello, I have a question, and all of that. Since I am not always live, I do not expect you to just come and say, I have a question, or hi, hello, and then leave and waiting for me to also come and say hi, hello before you come and respond. When are we going to get to the question? So, yes, the hi, the hellos, the greetings is good. But when you say that, since I'm not live, since I'm not online at that time, just go straight and ask your question too, so that when I come, I will be able to see your question and answer it. Then we can move forward. So if you do have a question and you are coming to my DM, just go straight to the point. Ask your question. You can see the hi and the hello and how I use. Yes, those are good. But make sure you also add your question so that when I come, I'll be able to just answer it instead of also coming to just greet and go back. And yeah, so if you have any questions or any sort of training you want me to have again, I think by now I've talked about almost everything when it comes to IRCC, express entry, schooling, visitors, and all of that. But if there's any, and you can go through my videos on YouTube and you'll be able to find them. But if there's any particular thing you still want to know, you can always come in my DM. And if I need to make a full video on it and teach people how to do it, I would definitely do that. Have a nice day, and I'm closing the stream on YouTube, but I'll still be on TikTok for those of you who are with me on TikTok. If you have any questions, you can still request, and I will add you to the live on